On Marshawn Lloyd, last week, Brian Ward, the ASU defensive coordinator, said he was the best tailback he'd seen in the Pac-12 in the last 2 seasons. I'm curious, does Marshawn remind you of some of the great running backs you've coached or coached against in the past? And when you evaluate him, how high do you think his ceiling is?
Yeah, he's a good player. We liked his tape a lot when he chose to get into the portal. We were aware of him when he came out of high school. He's a little. I'm trying to think of somebody I've had I'd compare him to. He reminds me of a few of the running backs we had, back at Texas Tech. Where he's not an incredibly obviously tall guy, but he's compact.
Well, we know. Hey, can you give me the hookup, right?
Yeah.
Hookup. If you're ready to get something really
Oh, if you're not talking, can we have
at
you
a
please
discount or even.
Thank you.
All right. Boy, I gotta try to stay focused after that. So yeah, explosive, really, really explosive. The kind of compact explosiveness really, really shows with him. He's a little faster, I think, than a few of the guys that we've had. You see a couple of times he's able to get the ball to the edge and really, really go. So yeah, I mean, so far he's off to a good start. I do think he's got a high ceiling. He can still get a whole lot better. We're really working to, he carries the ball well. He's really starting to get more comfortable with our schemes and find his patience, which with fast guys, that's typically, it's kind of like the double-edged sword, right? You gotta kind of know when to use it. And so he's gaining that. And I think the other parts of his game, as a receiver, pass protector, all that are coming along. So we're really working hard to develop the entire player. But I do think he's got a high ceiling. I think he can be, I think he could be, a high level back if he continues to grow.
Dukeney?
Hey, Lincoln, Brendan's coming off such a great game. Where have you seen him take the biggest step to get off to this type of start to the season?
I would say route running. He's a very confident route runner right now, and his routes are more consistent. Last year, we thought he was pretty raw coming in. And last year he got to the point where a lot of his routes were really good, but there was too much kind of variety. There was too much like, man, a great route here. And then the next one was just okay. And whether you're the coach, whether, coach or play caller, whether you're the quarterback, when you have guys that sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not, it's hard to know like which one am I relying on. I thought he started to grab some consistency at the end of the year. And I think with that, our confidence level's gone up in him. And then he's just built on it. I've told you all before, he's a great practice player. I mean, he practices really, really hard all the time. And because of that, he just gets better and better. And so, yeah, I think he's confident. I think he's playing really consistent, fast. And he's been very reliable in terms of being where he's supposed to be all the time. And with that, our confidence has grown and he's making a lot of really good plays.
Thanks.
Luca?
Hey, Lincoln, kind of a combo question here. Heard a lot about how close just kind of Zachariah and Zion are as brothers, as teammates, and just curious what you've seen as far as them kind of pushing each other, challenging each other in practice, just how close of a relationship they have. And to add on to that, do you see more opportunity coming for Zion down the line? Just how's he kind of progressing in general?
Yeah, for sure. On their closeness, yeah, they've got a unique, a very special relationship. You can tell, like I've had guys that are brothers or this and that, and then they're close, but like these guys are like brothers and also best friends. You can just tell they are very supportive of one another. They're kind of always in each other's ear. If one of them's doesn't make a play, the other one's there pushing them or encouraging them. If one of them makes a play, the other one's the most excited on the field for them. Like they are really, really tight. They when they get matched up in practice against one another, it's competitive. I'd say it's respectfully competitive. I probably stir it a little bit more. Like if Zion beats him in a one-on-one, I've a couple of times made reference to their next Thanksgiving meal and how Zion's going to be telling the whole family that he just dominated him on the last rep. So we have some fun. I've messed with Zach some. If he like drops the ball, runs a batter, I tell you what's all right. I'll get Zion over here to do it. Don't worry about it. So we have some fun on the field with that. But they yeah, for them, you could tell they are like each other's biggest fan and biggest supporter and probably inspiration. So extremely close. And then to Zion, I think we got a handful of guys that are kind of right on that threshold of being able to play more and more, that enough that they're in the, in the too deep right now. Not close enough yet that they're gonna like a regular rotation guy, just kind of right in that middle spot. And that's where Zion is like right now today. Is he far away from being a guy that you would play in every game? No. And he's obviously, have a role first on special teams as well. But I think defensively not far off. Like a lot of young guys battling for the consistency, similar to the comment about Brendan Rice earlier. I mean, his good is really, really good. And he's had some fantastic physical plays on the ball. Just has to get a little bit more consistent within his job. And as you do that, the trust level goes up and then their opportunities increase. So he's gaining on it. It's not a matter of if, it is truly a matter of it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time until it does. And he's got to keep working hard to close the gap, which he will.
Thanks, Lincoln.
RJ?
Hey, Lincoln, I'm curious, on a play like the scramble touchdown between Caleb and Brendan, when there's a moment where Caleb literally has his back to the line of scrimmage and then he's got to bring his eyes back around and relocate and find everybody, can you walk us through what part of that is taught, is the teaching and the reps that you guys do, and what part of that is Caleb and Brendan just doing something special?
The spacing on the field is taught. Now you can't perfectly script and rehearse every single scenario, because guys, it's a guy could scramble early in a route and receivers be in one spot, and then the scramble could happen really late, kind of like that one happened, and other guys in a different spot. So I think we teach concepts in scramble, but they also have to learn to play off of one another, which that was a good example of our guys doing that. Yeah, and then I think Caleb's obviously got a great escapability within the pocket, not just physically, but just a feel for when to get out and kind of how. And sometimes like that, when guys get around him, he takes a peek just to make sure, as he scrambles out, that somebody's not coming from the backside that he doesn't see. And that was one of those examples. So he did a good job seeing it and knowing that he could exit the way he did. And Brendan's become a good scramble player for us. Again, he's aggressive. He's fast to the ball. And I know he's somebody that Caleb trusts a lot in those situations.
Thank you.
Ryan Young?
Sticking with Brendan, Lincoln, you mentioned that he was raw coming in. He came from a pretty limited passing offense at Colorado when he was there, and you had a lot of options at receiver you could have brought in. What did you see in him based on his Colorado tape to evaluate his overall upside potential?
Yeah, just he had played some on kickoff return, and it had some really big kickoff returns, I remember. And yeah, it was limited offensively, but there was enough to see that, like, all right, this guy's still got some time. We got really strong reviews from some of the coaches there in terms of his practice habits and competitiveness, which have certainly held true. And we thought the physical skills were there enough that he was going to be able to help us. And so yeah, you wanted to see more of the offensive tape at that time, but we were obviously pretty aggressive at that point about, that was kind of in our little period where we were overhauling our roster. And so, yeah, just everything about it made sense. When we met the kid, we felt like he was pretty serious about football and wanting to get better, knowing that he had a lot of room to grow. And so, yeah, it just ended up fitting. But I would say, honestly, a lot of it was, the best I remember, I know that's been some time, but a lot of the ones that really caught our eye were some kickoff returns that he had. And he was like, you could tell like kind of the size, speed, explosion. And so we thought, all right, that skill set, if he's a good kid and a hard worker, we can work with that.
Thanks.
Shotgun?
Hey, Lincoln, after having some pre-snap operation issues last week, what adjustments do you make so the offense isn't running up against the play clock so often? Do you have to run less check with me plays or make any other play calling alterations?
Yeah, a lot of it just comes down to just to efficiency of our operation. There was just times, there were times where we just weren't efficient, no matter if it was a normal operation or a check with me situation. We weren't very efficient at times. We wasted seconds that we didn't need to waste. So, it's a combination of adjustments. I don't know that there's like one thing you point to and say, all right, we fixed this, and then, hopefully we won't have that. It's coaching, it's design, it's the players' operation, being efficient with subs. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, but you get challenged more that way on the road, and in that regard, certainly in the first half, we didn't respond very well. So we'll have to be a lot better, because we know this will be another fun road atmosphere.
Thank you.
Ryan Karchi.
Hey, Lincoln. I know you talked earlier in the week about Dion and his approach to coaching and just how he was keeping genuine, and that was an important part of being a leader. I wonder for you, like, when did that understanding sort of set in as a coach, and maybe how have you changed how you think about how to be a great leader, or your kind of own understanding of how you should lead your staff?
Yeah, I think some of that comes from the three head coaches that I worked for. Mike, Bob, and Ruffin, all I think very genuine in their own right. And so had a chance to learn from three really good ones. And then, I think being led, and then as a player and coach, and then starting to become a leader, whether it's as a young coach with your position group, or a young offensive coordinator, and then a young head coach. You start to kind of you want to take bits and pieces of some of these other great people that you've seen, you felt like did a great job in that role. But I think just going through that, like you see great leaders in all walks of life, and some of them do have radically different personalities. Like, there's not one personality type that makes you a great leader, in my opinion. But I do, when I've seen, in my opinion, guys fail or mess up or maybe not hit the mark, it's been like guys try to be something they're not, and then the people that they're leading typically see through that, and you typically don't get the response or the following that you would want to get. And like I said, I'm lucky. I've had good mentors, good people that have pushed me to not try to be something that I'm not, to just own it. You can improve. It's not that we all got it figured out. You can improve, but if you cross over and try to be something you're not, I just think it's hollow, and I just don't think people respond to that in general. And so great leaders that I've studied, I think that was a key characteristic. And that was reference to the point of coach. And for myself, I mean, I would say that I've tried to evolve and improve and attack the areas that I know I need to get better, but I've also tried to stay within being myself too. And I haven't been perfect at it by any stretch, but I've tried to stay within those parameters as much as I can.
Thanks.
Fredo.
Hey, Lincoln, Fredo Cervantes here with the Sporting Tribune. Kayla Williams has been taking care of the ball, doing a tremendous job in running the offense. Through the first 4 games, he has the most touchdowns without a turnover. What have you seen in his development this year?
Yeah, he's never been a real high turnover guy, which is part of why we've played him. He's always been pretty conscious about taking care of the ball, and that's as much as we coach anything in that room, that point has been, no matter how good you are, how many good plays you make as a quarterback, if you turn the ball over, like it's a moot point. And so he's done a great job of it throughout his career. And then I think his understanding of our system and understanding of game situations and when to be aggressive, when not, has constantly improved as he's gone through more time, and we've had more time together. He's had more reps. And so he's got a good feel for that. And that'll be key. I mean, it's playing great, especially on the road as a quarterback. That's such a key part of it. And I mean, like I said, you look at that, that first turnover the other night. I mean, that, in my opinion, completely changed that game. And you give a home team with an energized crowd some hope and momentum like that, like which turnovers normally do. it changes the game. So anyways, yeah, he's done a good job. We're going to need him to keep doing it.
And we'll wrap it up with these last two. Mark?
Hey, Coach. Last week, I asked about, sending a message when you're going up against an opponent that you're perceived to be, better against. Point spread is obviously a factor. So you go on the road, you win by 14, you put up 42 points, yet you still drop in the polls a few spots. The defense is, number one in the country creating negative plays, sacks, tackles for loss, forced fumbles. How do you change that narrative that, USC's held to a different standard?
I don't think you do, because it's, again, this is after, 4 games. I mean, it's like I told you guys last year after the Utah loss. Like I've been through this. Like, if you just keep winning, like, all those things are going to take care of itself. Like, everybody could sit here and debate right now between all the 4-0 teams, like who's number 1, who's number 3, who's number 7, who's number 8. Really, it doesn't matter right now. Like, it's, all blue blood, like the big boy programs like this are all held to the same standard. We experienced the same thing when I was at Oklahoma. Other top programs feel this. The other, you got your top 5 or 6 programs in the country that this is just part of it. And so you're going to always have an overreaction with teams like us all the time, what positive or negative, right? And so the answer for us is keep getting better, keep winning. That takes care of everything. And if you keep doing that, there's no bias, there's no double standard, there's nothing that can keep you away from being where you want to be if you keep taking care of business on Saturdays. And that's what we got to keep doing.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, Shotgun.
Lincoln, what went to the decision of moving Keon Barnum from playing beside Bear to being his backup? And is that a position change that maybe you see being permanent going forward with both of them being at the nose?
No, they're both interchangeable. They both could play either position. So no, there's been no position move. We're gonna play the guys that practice and perform there the best, just like at every other position. And that's going to be a weekly evaluation, as just like every other position as well. And so Keon's had some really strong moments for us early, but we have had some other guys that have as well. Up to, through 4 games, Bear has asserted himself as somebody that's difficult to take off the field. And his production and the way he's played, I think, clearly demonstrate that. But Keon is in the mix with a lot of other guys that there's a ton of reps there to go after, but guys have got to go really be great in games. They got to go be great in practice. Like, you got to give us every reason in the world to put you on the field and eliminate any reason that we wouldn't. And if not, it goes back to, if it's 50-50, sometimes it's going to go your way and sometimes it's not. And so Keon's done some good things, but he's got to continue to push and be ultra productive in games and be elite in practice, where we can't stand the thought of him standing next to us on the sideline on any play. And so, but he's had a great attitude about it. There's other guys on this team that have kind of been in and out a little bit in terms of their reps, and that's on a good football team. That's what it's like. And so I think if Keon continues to strain and push himself to get better, I still certainly envision him having a big role on our defensive line.
Thank you.